Hi there. I swear I have the funkiest fucking hairdo ever today. Yeah, so anyway, I have been thinking a lot about what I want to share, and I'm just looking at my hair. It's just so funny. What I want to share about what it is I do, and what I really want to help people do is align with the moment. And okay, so this is really interesting because I'm actually working on this 8 level system of healing, I call it. I don't know what else to call it, but basically what it is I've mapped out 8 different emotions, 8 ways of thinking, 8 habit patterns, and 8 ways of choosing something different in order to align with the moment and live a more peaceful, happy, joy-filled life. And I'm speaking slowly because I'm seeing this in my mind of the wheel that I've created. I'll actually just show it here. This is what I've been working on. And the cool thing about this is it just keeps evolving. Every day I get a little bit more of an insight, a little bit more of an awareness of what I want to tell people, of how I would work with people, of how it works in life and how it works in my life. And so the cool things are, what I'm seeing is how this actually really correlates with what we were taught in the Bible. And the biggest thing that I actually had this download, I don't know what year it was, probably 2017. It was after I had left my marriage and it was before my first cancer journey. I guess it was probably 2018, because at the beginning of 2018, I actually had a really disturbing phone call from someone in my life, and it was just like threatening and disturbing. And after that phone call, I just dropped to the floor, and I was in fetal position in my kitchen praying to die. This, like I said, was a few years after I had left my marriage. I left my marriage in 2015. And life just continued to spiral out of control. It really just began to spiral out of control. So anyway, I really started to make bad choice after bad choice. It was like I left my marriage and I was so convinced that I needed to find a partner. And I was looking for love in all the wrong places, I tell you. And so at the beginning of 2018, like I said, I ended up on the floor praying to die, and it felt like I had some kind of a nervous breakdown. I don't know what you would call it. It doesn't really matter. But I just wanted to be taken out of the world because it felt like everything was in self-destruct mode, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know where to go, and I just didn't know how to handle life anymore. And that's when I started going to church. When I was on the floor praying to die, that's when I got this download to go to church. And interestingly enough, the next day I went to the gym, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. And so I went into the little RPM room, which is where they have all the exercise bikes. And it was dark in there, and I left it dark in there because I just wanted to be alone. And I got on a bike in the back of the room, and the door opened, and this lady walked in. I knew her, and she came and sat on the bike right beside me, and she started talking. And she started talking about this church that she was a part of and how much she loved it, and how God spoke to her in different ways, and how she ended up going to church. And it was like, holy shit, that's my sign. Like, that is my sign. And so I went to that church the Sunday after, and I walked into that church, and I walked to the front of the room. I had my kids with me, and I just went right to the front, sat down. I actually can't remember if I had my kids with me the first time or not. But what I do remember is I sat down and I listened to the music, And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried the whole time I was there. And for the first few weeks, I just cried. And my kids would come with me every week that I had them. And they would say, like, "Mommy, why are you crying?" And I would say, "I don't know." But all I knew is that I felt a whole lot of healing. I felt a whole lot of healing. I just felt like I needed to feel forgiveness for leaving my marriage and then making really shitty choices afterward, and just feeling so much guilt of not being able to keep my family together, even though I fucking tried everything I possibly could to make that marriage work. I tried everything I possibly could and it didn't work, and I just couldn't get over that. And I couldn't make peace with the fact that I couldn't find a partner that was good after that. I just kept dating douchey men and getting hurt and like allowing myself to be hurt, really, is what it was. Anyway, around this time, I was walking downstairs in my house, I remember, and I just had this incredible download. And I just felt this spirit speaking to me saying, like, what I felt was, it wasn't really words, but it was just this inner knowing that when Jesus was speaking about heaven, what he meant was to be here in this moment in your heart. Is there a heaven after we die? I don't doubt it. I don't know that. But what I do know is that I really, really took that seriously. And I really started to honor the moment. Even though I had been teaching it and learning about it and practicing it since 2007 through the work that I had been doing, that just really made me have this want to connect to the moment even deeper. And, through these years, that was 2018. So through these years, what actually happened a few months after that is I ended up getting diagnosed with cancer for the first time, and that was lymphoma. And that's when I needed 3 rounds of chemo and surgery and radiation. And thought I was dying a few times because my liver enzymes got so high. And I just got so incredibly sick. I just didn't think that I could survive. I didn't think I was going to survive. But what that did was it helped me. I really didn't know. I never know what I'm going to say in these videos when I sit down. But the interesting thing is I was talking about being on the floor praying to die. And then I get cancer and I think I'm dying. And I pray so fucking hard to live. And I remember laying beside my kids in bed. My kids used to take turns sleeping with me every night. They were little at the time. They would bring all their stuffies. They would come to my room with their pillows and their handfuls of stuffies. And honestly, the cutest thing ever. My kids are older now. And man, to just hear those words, "Mommy, come and lay with me," I would kill to hear that again. I remember laying in bed thinking there's no way I was going to wake up, because I had gotten so sick and, my liver enzymes were very high, so I couldn't get any more chemo, which meant that was not a good outlook. And I remember just loving my kids more than I could ever imagine. Loving life more than I could ever imagine. And just praying to please let me have another day with my kids. Let me have another day on this planet. Just let me have another day. And so I've been given, a lot of challenges since then, but a lot of days that I'm still alive. And I'm just looking back at this journey and just noticing what got me through it.